I have an amazing story to share with you. This is about Saudi Arabia and the U.S. and our unholy alliance and what it's leading to. Take a look. An interim report from the staff of the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform shows evidence that members of the Trump transition team and administration attempted to push through a plan from a consortium advised by former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn to sell nuclear technology to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The plan would have led to the construction of 40 nuclear power plants and facilities to enrich uranium fuel. The technology, while focused on civil nuclear power, could give the Saudis resources that could be used to build nuclear weapons. The plan would also have pumped billions into a number of U.S. companies involved in the nuclear industry, including the bankrupt nuclear services company Westinghouse Electric, which would have built the reactors. Jeffrey Lewis, a non-proliferation expert at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, told NPR's Ari Shapiro in an interview that the details in the report were bonkers balls. Can't come up with a better word. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It's a half-baked, grandiose plan with all kinds of things that could go wrong in it and people screaming at them to stop, and they don't stop. Despite repeated wave-offs by national security officials, members of the White House team and Trump confidants outside the White House, including Tom Barrack, the chairman of the Trump Inauguration Committee and a close friend of the president, continued to press forward on the scheme. Barrack, who urged Trump to take on Paul Manafort as his campaign manager, also tried to broker a secret meeting between Manafort and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, according to a New York Times official report. Holy shit. So, remember, when the Russia investigation kicked off, I was skeptical. And one of my main arguments was, you're not going to find, conspiracy, you're not going to find collusion with the Russian government. But what you are going to find is, number one, business corruption. I'm sure Trump has done money laundering for shady-ass characters. I'm sure he's done tax evasion and roughly about a dozen different financial crimes that you can get him on if you try. So I've predicted on this show, and I stand by this prediction, the day Donald Trump is no longer president, he will be indicted. However, I don't think that the Mueller report is going to give many Democrats what they're looking for, which is treason, collusion, conspiracy with Russia. It's not going to happen, I don't think. Now, but one of the things that I did tell you, especially when the news came out about Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort and how Mueller got them, is that everybody around Donald Trump is a narcissistic grifter. And they're looking to get paid however they get paid. And in the case of Michael Flynn, he worked with the Turkish government, took money, hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Turkish government, and then he pushed D.C. and the Trump administration to not arm the Kurds to fight ISIS, which was what the policy was going to be. And the reason why he was pushing for that is because the Turkish government hates the Kurds and they don't want them armed. So Michael Flynn basically was carrying water for the Turkish government without registering as a foreign agent, which is a crime. Okay, but in the case of Manafort, same thing. He was working for Ukraine, pushing for their interests in the U.S. government. And now we learn, and I always thought this was the case, you're always going to find Israel and Saudi Arabia. There's the most collusion between the Israeli government and the Trump administration, and the Saudi government and the Trump administration. Now, in the case of Israel, it had to do with, remember that symbolic slap on the wrist that John Kerry and Donald Trump and Barack Obama did on the way out the door, where at the UN they abstained from the vote, where the international community said we're condemning the illegal settlements. What happened was Trump was president-elect at that point, and factions of the Israeli government reached out to the Trump team and tried to get them to stop the UN from basically condemning Israel. So that was one example of collusion between the Israeli government and the president-elect at that point. And then other examples are Jared Kushner's taken millions and millions of dollars from Israeli banks. And he's pushing for Israeli interests behind the scenes. And, you know, there's speculation, and it's probably merited, that as a direct result of the financial ties between the Israeli government and the Trump administration, that's one of the reasons why you got the approval from the Trump administration for the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem. So there's a lot of shady shit going on. Now, in the case of Saudi Arabia, we already know Trump is up to his eyeballs in lawsuits on that front because he violated the emoluments clause. At his hotel in D.C., he's taken money from the Saudi government, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then he turns around and, of course, he gave them a massive weapons deal. Billions and billions of dollars worth of weapons as they massacre women and children in Yemen, by the way. And now we know that other corrupt-ass actors in Trump's administration working behind the scenes to try to get Saudi Arabia nuclear technology. I mean, think about that. We say wrongly, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. No, they're not. The terror attacks are not from Shia Muslims, which is what Iran is. It's a Shia country. The terror attacks are from Wahhabi Muslims, so ultra-Orthodox Sunni Muslims. We say Iran's the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. That's not true. You know who is, though? Saudi Arabia. And we want to give that government nuclear technology, and they were working behind the scenes to fucking do it. This is way bigger than any Russia bullshit that people are talking about right now. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. We're trying to give nuclear technology to an unstable government in a region of the world where Salafi, Wahhabi Islam is the dominant ideology? That is fucking nuts, dude. Everybody should oppose this. And then, by the way, the worst part is this triggers a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Is that what this world needs? A nuclear arms race in the Middle East? I mean, we're already on edge because of what the U.S. and Russia are doing. How we got NATO troops on their border and U.S. warships in the Black Sea, and we got, we are armed to the fucking teeth, but then you also got Pakistan and India, and they're armed to the teeth, and they have a dispute, and who knows what the fuck's going to happen there. And now we want Saudi Arabia, and then if Saudi gets them, Iran has to get them. And this is what we want in this world? We are not marching towards nuclear annihilation, and nobody's even talking about it.